The iPhone 16e might lack some of the iPhone's more premium features, but I can't help but love it. Its lightweight and clean rear design make me happy every time I pick it up, in a way I haven't felt since my iPhone 5S. Its updated guts will make sure it stays fast and responsive for many years to come. I downgraded from my iPhone 16 Pro to this iPhone 16e for my review, and came out very impressed. Here's what I found. Apple doesn't update its entry-level iPhone, previously called the iPhone SE, too often. Whenever there's a new budget iPhone out, it suddenly becomes the best phone per dollar spent, but then it withers away on the shelf for a few years and becomes less of a smart purchase towards the end of its life. The iPhone 16e might be the start of a new strategy. Instead of keeping it at the same price for years, Apple might give it more regular updates, and older models might lower in price over time. If the iPhone SE were the only iPhone you knew about, and you decided to upgrade to the 16e, you just made a 10-year quantum leap. The prior model still resembled the iPhone 6 from 2014. The new model is perfectly in line with today's iPhone 16 lineup. Compared to its other iPhone 16 siblings, the first difference you'll notice as soon as you pick it up. It's over 15% lighter than the iPhone 16 Pro at 5.9 ounces compared to 7.0. That might sound like a nitpicky difference, but it's huge. The iPhone 16e feels like the perfect balance of screen, size, and weight, just like the iPhone 10. The next biggest difference is that there's no triple camera system dominating the rear. I can hold it in my left hand and sweep my pointer finger across the back of the phone like a windshield wiper without touching the camera. Contrast that to what I wrote in my review of the iPhone 16 Pro. The camera bump sits right where my index finger naturally wants to rest. I have to scrunch up my finger or adjust the angle to get it out of the way. Beyond that, you've probably seen this before. It has flat sides. The aluminum band around the outside is softly textured. The back glass has a matte finish. It has circular speaker and microphone holes on the bottom, and a USB-C port. Instead of a ring mute switch, it has the action button. To almost everyone's disappointment, the iPhone 16e only comes in black and white. Personally, I miss the combination of black glass and silver metal like the iPhone 4. Instead, the black color comes with dark metal around the edge. But I bet most people will miss the glorious pink, teal, and ultramarine of the iPhone 16. Apple's position is that if you want to have a fun color, you can use a case. And it's a fair point that only nitpicky weirdos like me use their phone without a case. My counterpoint is that most of Apple's case options aren't very fun either. Sure, fuchsia and winter blue are two solid options, but the other three are black and white, again, and lake green, which is about as exciting as pond scum. The case itself is really nice. It feels soft in the hand. The buttons are a slightly more rubbery material and stick out prominently, so they're easy to find and click in. Prior Apple silicone cases added a significant amount of tackiness that made it hard to pull out of tight jeans without taking the pocket liner out with it. Apple refined the material, so that doesn't seem like a problem anymore. Because the iPhone 16e camera is so small and thin, the case doesn't need a lip on the back. It sits perfectly flat. It does still have a lip around the front display, so you can toss it down on a table without worry. And the cutout for the USB-C port is large enough to fit even my thickest Thunderbolt cable. If I were to own an iPhone 16e, however, I wouldn't use the Apple silicone case. I would look for a case with a built-in, unofficial MagSafe ring. The lack of MagSafe is the iPhone 16e's weirdest missing feature. I would love to know what the engineering trade-off was. The magnets themselves aren't very big and aren't very expensive. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many third-party cases that have built-in MagSafe, nor so many third-party MagSafe stickers on Amazon. Browsing through the first 2 pages of results, The most expensive one I could find cost $14. Not everyone uses MagSafe, but once you're in, you're in. I have a MagSafe 3-in-1 charger on my nightstand, another in my office, a car charger clipped to my dashboard, the Apple Wallet, a battery pack for traveling, a tripod mount, and a handheld camera mount, all with MagSafe. Given the aforementioned MagSafe stickers, it's easy to DIY a solution yourself. And given time, there'll probably be plenty of cases that are MagSafe compatible, or some other legal weasel word. I personally tried attaching a combination MagSafe ring / stand / pop socket, and I can confirm that if you line it up properly, the 16E will then work with all my MagSafe accessories. Granted, because this isn't official MagSafe, it's more like using a wireless Qi charger that just so happens to align itself perfectly using magnets. It doesn't have the extra MagSafe features, so it can't detect what kind of device you're attaching, be it a wallet or a charger or a battery. It also doesn't charge as fast. It's capped at 7.5 watts, rather than the full 25 watts. The iPhone 16e is the first iPhone to get the Apple C1 chip for its 4G and 5G cellular connectivity, satellite communication, and GPS. When Apple switched the Mac from Intel processors to Apple Silicon chips, the benefits were gigantic and immediate. Performance and battery life skyrocketed. Of course, by 2020, Apple had been designing its own custom chips for over 10 years by that point. Apple Silicon was mature by the time it came to the Mac, whereas Intel had been losing its competitive advantage over the same time period. The C1 chip is getting a more modest introduction. Qualcomm makes the best cellular modems in the world, and still does. Apple was driven to develop the C1 due to its contentious business relationship, not because Qualcomm was failing to deliver the goods. The C1 doesn't support 5G millimeter wave, the high-speed cellular connection that's as fast as home Wi-Fi. Granted, very few cell towers in the entire world support 5G millimeter wave, so unless you live in a major metropolitan area, you may not ever notice. Other reviewers who live in big cities have tested that the C1 works exactly as expected, and no news is good news. I have the opposite situation. I live in a very rural farm town with a perpetually weak cellular connection, which is a different kind of stress test. And I can confirm that the C1 still works exactly as expected, pretty much in line with my iPhone 16 Pro. I did speed tests at home, sitting in my car inside my garage, and at the Polaris Mall Apple Store where I picked it up. In all three situations, it performed basically identically. The C1 chip also handles the iPhone's GPS signal. Walking around my house with Apple Maps zoomed in all the way, with both phones in hand, the iPhone 16e seems to perform just as well, if not slightly better than, the iPhone 16 Pro. Granted, a GPS test in a dense urban city street would probably be a better stress test, where the iPhone 16 Pro's dual-band GPS would likely come out ahead in reducing errors. I was unable to strand myself in the woods to test the satellite connectivity, but I performed the satellite connection demo. The iPhone 16e found a satellite noticeably faster than the iPhone 16 Pro, on a slightly cloudy day, no less. The iPhone 16e's single rear camera is effectively the same main rear lens you get on an iPhone 16. It can take 24 megapixel images or 12 megapixel images sensor cropped to 2x zoom. Or you can enable the full 48 megapixels in settings. A vast majority of my photos are in that 1 to 2x range. I occasionally use the ultra-wide and telephoto lenses while traveling, but I don't think I would be broken-hearted giving them up. For a phone that costs $400 less than the iPhone 16 Pro, the single lens is remarkably capable. You can record video up to 4K 60. This is all the resolution most people need to future-proof their photos for many, many years to come. Videos taken with the 16e look fantastic. you'd have a hard time buying a standalone camera for $599 that takes better videos. I was surprised that the iPhone 16e comes with Apple's fancy new audio mixing feature, with noise reduction and spatial audio. The sound of my feet crunching through the leaves sounds almost overbearing, but you can lower it to a quiet background noise. I'm also surprised how much I miss the camera control. I've internalized that I can squeeze the lower right corner of my phone and instantly open the camera no matter where I am. On the iPhone 16e, I try to do that, remind myself that it doesn't do that, take a second to remember how to open the camera, swipe down the lock screen, and then swipe over. I wish the iPhone 16e had a basic open the camera button, kind of like the action button, but in the same spot. Actually, I wish that's what the camera control was like on all the phones. So what else are you missing? The display is bright and clear, but it's far from Apple's best. The iPhone 16e comes with a notch instead of a dynamic island. The display doesn't have always on, which I don't really miss. I didn't use that feature on my 16 Pro anyways. It also doesn't have ProMotion for super high refresh rates up to 120 Hz, and that feature I miss most of all. The iPhone 16e doesn't support the new photographic styles, which can be edited after the picture has been taken. Instead, you go through a setup where you choose how to process all of your pictures going forward, with more color saturation or with a specific tone. And these changes are baked into the picture. Because it only has one rear lens, you can't take 3D spatial pictures and videos for use on the Apple Vision Pro. Not that I imagine there's much overlap between Vision Pro owners and iPhone 16e owners, but that is technically another missing feature. From its announcement, I wasn't expecting to love the iPhone 16e as much as I do. It's beautiful, it feels perfectly modern, and great in the hand. I think this will be a great iPhone to hold down the bottom of the lineup for many years to come. It's a shame Apple couldn't bring down the price a little more and left out MagSafe, but at least the latter is easily remedied. Personally, I'm excited for Apple to apply the learnings of the 16e to its Pro phones. Aluminum is so much lighter and feels nicer in the hand. Stainless steel and titanium are and always have been marketing gimmicks that make the phone heavier and worse. Having the camera way up in the corner makes the phone so much easier to hold. I'm not in the market for a budget iPhone, but I'm glad that the people who are getting a great phone in the iPhone 16e. I'm Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.